think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The courtroom was packed, wall to wall with press, lawyers, and tension you could slice with a knife. All eyes were locked on one woman, Whoopi Goldberg. But something was off. Her poise was gone. Her swagger vanished. She blinked too fast, clenched the table, and twitched nervously as Karoline Leavitt sat calmly across from her like a storm waiting to break. The same Whoopi, who ruled The View with a sharp tongue and smug glare, now looked like a deer in headlights. This wasn't a TV stage with applause and teleprompters. This was war in real time, and Whoopi was losing control fast. It all hit her the moment Karoline's team dropped the bomb. An $800 million defamation lawsuit, not just filed but fast-tracked by a no-nonsense judge. No delays, no games, just pure legal firepower aimed straight at Whoopi's empire. And now, right here in court, the damage is exploding into the open.
I just leave. I go home. I go home to my life, and I take care of my cat and do all the stuff I'm supposed to.
Every jab, every smirk from The View is now evidence.
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
The courtroom watches in stunned silence as Whoopi silently unravels. One blink, one tremble, one shaky breath at a time. Before we dive into the chaos, one thing is clear. This is no stunt, no performative drama. This is real, raw, and ripping through the lies that daytime TV thought it could bury forever. So how did we get here? It all started with one appearance. Karoline Leavitt stepping onto The View, set not as a guest but as a target. And boy, did they come for her. From the moment the cameras rolled, the co-hosts pounced like hyenas. Joy Behar, eyes twinkling with condescension, mocked Karoline's youth. "What does someone so fresh-faced know about politics?" she sneered. Laughter erupted across the panel. But the smiles weren't friendly. They were knives. Sunny Hostin leaned in next, pretending to smile. But her words landed like poison. Another example of white privilege. Then came Whoopi Goldberg herself, once queen of daytime commentary, who locked eyes with Karoline and spat the insult that started it all. "You didn't earn this. You're a product of right-wing pity politics." The audience clapped like trained seals. The co-hosts beamed with pride. But Karoline? She didn't flinch. She didn't fight back. She simply sat there, watching, listening, recording it all with the calm of someone planning a storm. And that's exactly what she did. She didn't go online and rant. She didn't post dramatic selfies or complain in cryptic messages. She filed a lawsuit, a nuclear bomb wrapped in legal precision. $800 million. Filed, served, and splashed across every headline in America.
President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a threat to democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political violence like we have seen in 2 instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a Nazi. That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day.
The View laughed at first. Whoopi rolled her eyes. Sunny dismissed it. But this wasn't going away. In fact, the judge wasn't having it. He fast-tracked the case, demanded records, and opened every door Karoline's team wanted to walk through. And now it's happening. Live, in court. No edits, no applause, just truth and legal consequences. Inside that courtroom, Karoline's legal team came armed like warriors. They demanded everything. Unedited footage, producer notes, private messages, even control room Slack logs. And guess what? They found gold. This wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It was a setup. Karoline's lawyers dropped bombshell after bombshell, starting with internal memos that read, "Have Joy needle her on age, then let Whoopi go hard. It'll trend." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The gallery leaned in closer. Another memo flashed. "Zoom on Karoline when she reacts. That's our viral moment." This wasn't spontaneous television. It was scripted ambush. A performance masked as a panel. And Whoopi? Her face turned pale. Her lawyer placed a hand on her arm, but she pulled away. Panic written in every movement. More evidence rolled out. Slack messages. Mention Trump. See if she bites. Plan B. Let Sunny push race. If Karoline freezes, we win. Emails showed how producers orchestrated the segment like a chess game. Let Whoopi take the lead. She's got credibility. Audience will eat it up.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this.
And even worse, bolded lines in internal scripts, attack with intellect, dismiss with humor, flip the crowd. Then Karoline's team brought in forensic proof. Digital fingerprints, timestamps, confirmed authenticity. Every word, every message, real, irrefutable, admissible. The judge leaned forward, stunned. He took off his glasses, stared straight at ABC's lawyers, and asked, "Did your producers coach your hosts for this?" Silence. Nothing. Not a single denial. Just lawyers flipping frantically through binders, searching for escape. Whoopi sat motionless, her mouth tight, her knuckles white. This wasn't confusion, it was fear. She knew exactly what was happening. Her empire was crumbling right there in front of the cameras. And Karoline? Still silent, still steady, watching like she saw this moment coming from the start. As the second hour of proceedings began, the courtroom grew hotter, tension thicker. The air felt like glass. One wrong word and everything could shatter. And then, Whoopi tried to speak. Her voice cracked. "I didn't mean..." People misunderstood, but no one responded. Her lawyer leaned in, whispered something comforting. She didn't move. Then, a tear. Just one. It slid slowly down her cheek, glimmering in the harsh courtroom lights. She wiped it fast, hoping no one saw, but everyone did. One reporter typed, "Whoopi breaks down in court." Another whispered, "This is over. She's done." The judge called a recess, but Whoopi didn't rise. She sat there, frozen. A bailiff approached to check on her. All she whispered was, "I didn't know they saved all of that." Across the room, Karoline Leavitt didn't budge. Her posture remained perfect, her face unreadable, her eyes locked in like a hawk watching its prey stumble. She didn't smirk, didn't gloat, just sat steady like this was the plan all along. When court resumed, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Whoopi Goldberg looked shattered, shoulders sagged, hands shaking, lips tight. And Karoline? She was the storm that had just started to rain truth on national television's most protected host. Now, it wasn't just about defamation. It had morphed into something much bigger. The court was peeling back the curtain on daytime TV, and what it found wasn't harmless banter, but calculated targeting dressed up as entertainment. Behind ABC's polished smiles, chaos exploded. Executives were calling emergency meetings, trying to spin this disaster into damage control. But nothing could contain the flood. Because this wasn't speculation, this was evidence. Inside ABC headquarters, panic had gone nuclear. Top brass were scrambling through old episodes, digging up documents, terrified of what else might be uncovered. This wasn't a PR fire. It was a full-blown inferno. Internal Slack messages were now courtroom exhibits. Memos labeled, "Just push her a little. It'll make great TV," were being read aloud while Whoopi sat frozen at the defense table. The audience outside was eating it up, frame by frame. Sponsors started backing out one by one. A high-end skincare brand vanished overnight. An automotive sponsor issued a quiet pause on ads. Not because of a boycott, but because no brand wanted to be caught in a scandal this size. ABC tried to stay quiet, but nothing could hide what was happening. Even reruns of The View were being quietly pulled from rotation. Episodes flagged potentially problematic were yanked before stations could air them again. Back at The View's studio, fear swept the set like wildfire.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
Producers whispered in hallways. Staffers clutched resumes. Interns asked, "Will we be named in the case?" Everyone was watching the courthouse livestream with white-knuckled dread. And the biggest tremor? ABC had launched a contract audit on Whoopi herself. Not just her pay or show performance, but the fine print, the moral clauses, the social conduct terms. They were hunting for an exit. One insider admitted, "There's already a soft exit script being drafted." It included everything: health break cover story, farewell montage, soft transition to new hosts, and rehearsed press interviews to smooth over the crater. And Whoopi? She felt it coming. She wasn't just fighting Karoline anymore. She was fighting her own network's silent retreat. The same network she defended for years was now preparing to cut her loose. Even inside the courtroom, whispers swirled. "This could be her last season," one reporter said. "No," another replied. "This could be her last week." Meanwhile, Karoline sat there, calm as ever. Her team pulled out the next set of receipts, production emails showing discussions about which phrases will trend, and who should go aggressive depending on guest party. The judge was floored. "Is this how your show operates?" he asked bluntly. ABC's attorneys stayed quiet. Again, the room buzzed with electricity. This wasn't just about one insult anymore. This was about media manipulation at its core.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. I respect everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying.
Viewers watching online were stunned. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, clips of the courtroom played nonstop. Hashtags like, Whoopi exposed, your Leavitt receipts, and accountability TV were trending worldwide. Even Karoline's silence became powerful. She hadn't given a single interview, no statements, no podcast rants. Her strategy was clear: let the facts destroy them, and they were doing exactly that. Journalists from both left and right were forced to admit, Karoline didn't come to play games. She came with proof. Digital, time-stamped, cross-verified proof that pulled the rug out from under a giant. And then came the whispers from Hollywood. Quiet messages of support slipping into Karoline's inbox. One well-known actress messaged, "You're braver than all of us combined." Why? Because in an industry ruled by silence and spin, Karoline took the path no one dared. She went legal. She didn't beg for airtime, she demanded justice in court. And now she was winning. Not just the case, but the narrative.